After 6 months of rehabilitation, Sophie Cunningham recently returned to an Indiana Fever gym. The first thing she witnessed was Caitlin Clark making 30 straight three-pointers without missing one. Furthermore, Sophie failed to provide a courteous response when someone asked her what she thought. You will be both shocked and amazed by what she said. Furthermore, it was evident from the manner she spoke that this wasn't a publicity stunt. It served as a warning to the league as a whole. After Sophie didn't hold back on anything during her first interview after resigning, let's examine everything she said. If you're thrilled to see Sophie and Caitlin back on the court together, leave a comment for Sophie and Cece. Sophie Cunningham was unaware of two things when she returned to that practice facility after a 6-month absence: what kind of fever she would experience following a full off-season of roster changes, and how her knee would truly feel under actual basketball pressure. Once camp began, both of those responses came quickly. However, the injury tale is more important than most people imagined. So let's take a step back. Have you regained your sense of well-being and identity? And when did you decide to put less emphasis on rehabilitation and more on the season? Yes. I attempt to complete it as soon as possible. Rehab is awful, isn't it? I therefore believe that I was cleared 10 times. I believe that folks were being extra cautious, and since I was totally cleared in February, I've been going. And I'm feeling fantastic. It's good to be back, I guess. You know, you play pickup and do all of these things, but when you get out here and have to be deliberate, you have to sort of get used to that speed again, but I feel fantastic. I think our surgeon here, together with the team doctor, did a fantastic job. I also feel like myself. An MCL injury doesn't heal in 6 weeks. You're not playing, jogging, and then relaxing. The surgeon cleared Sophie, and the real effort then began since there was a huge gap between the mended ligament and my ability to forcefully cut off a screen without giving it any thought. Before full court runs were ever considered, she dedicated weeks to plyometrics, 3v3 pickup sessions, and team rehabilitation. Even after all of that, she informed reporters that she felt as though she was cleared 10 times because the medical personnel continued to exercise additional caution and full clearance wasn't granted until February. I was cleared, I guess. Every doctor was with them. They all got the statistics and everything, but it's like, hey, are you really good if you don't get in front of these guys? I'm not even going to lie to you, so that was a little frustrating because I tend to be direct. If I weren't feeling well or hesitant, I think I would have said something and been honest because I'm at the stage of my career where I just want to win. As if all I want is to win. It's one thing to deal with its physical aspects, but Sophie acknowledged that measuring the mental aspect is more difficult. The precise instant the knee gave out is remembered by your brain. Furthermore, that memory does not go away on its own, even when the tissue recovers. She acknowledged that she still experienced mental blocks on some days. There were days when the body was healthy, but the mind was not keeping up. It continues to check in and hesitates on cuts that shouldn't have. What kind of exercises have you done since getting approved in February? Been attempting to regain as much of a competitive edge as possible? Yes, the shape of a basketball is just different. For example, you are free to commit as many suicides as you like. You can get your ass kicked all you want, but you won't be completely in game form until you're actually playing. Thus, it was simply playing a lot of pickup for me. It was a 3v3, one-on-one game. It was flying, I guess. It was just taking care of the minor stuff that you simply do on a regular basis. It's similar to a typical off-season, but with a bit extra rehabilitation. I'm curious about returning to the Midwest because you mentioned being nearer to home, living on a farm, and all that. Did that influence your viewpoint in any way? Or did you value it more heading into this new deal this past summer? I really want more of this. To be honest, not at all. It's amazing that she was able to pinpoint the exact time she realized she was actually returned. Really back, not simply cleared on paper. It took place during a pickup game. It wasn't until the play that she realized she hadn't given the knee any thought at all. She made a hard cut and landed clean. Played without checking in or flinching. That was the time. And when she eventually addressed reporters, she was straightforward. The knee is fine, and the body is reacting. I'm not 100%, and I don't feel great. Just that the knee is good, and the body is reacting. When someone has experienced enough to understand the difference, they speak in that manner. Later in the contract situation, since free agency and rehabilitation were operating concurrently, which is an unusual position. She couldn't really put together a whole week of uninterrupted practice to show anyone, but teams wanted to assess her. She even said it outright, stating that it's difficult to recover from an injury when you haven't faced any team since. Without that, teams begin questioning whether you're truly good. Thus, she was demonstrating her present while negotiating her future. And the fact that the one-year agreement ultimately made sense for all parties involved is largely explained by that entire circumstance. Sophie Cunningham, a close friend of ours, was signed to a one-year contract by the Fever. Come on. It was near. It was almost there. Given the changes in structure, finances, and everything else, am I allowed to be nosy right away? The previous few weeks? For example, was the deal better than you anticipated?
No. All right.
I apologize. No, it's all right. It's difficult because I recently recovered from an injury and haven't played in front of any teams, but I think it's okay. Thus, the internet was busy creating a big drama that didn't exist while Sophie was working through her rehabilitation. She had discussed her contract issue on a podcast, and accounts simply went with it, creating the narrative that she was dissatisfied in Indiana, that the Fever was underpaying her, and that she was essentially being forced out the door. Sophie had to confront the narrative head-on because it was quickly gaining traction. Did you make it clear that you received a multi-year offer somewhere? Was that somewhere else? Yes, I did. This is your sole offer, and I am aware that there were remarks. No, it wasn't. I don't need to stay off, of course. Twitter. It is the most poisonous area on Earth. However, it wasn't the point of it, so I just wanted to stop it. I simply wanted to be a part of our group because I believe that greatness emerges when you have a unique group and can stick together. I believe that we have something unique here, and you simply want to be a part of it. She went to Twitter and immediately closed it. I'm going to shut this down right now, she said. The money doesn't bother me. I simply wanted more years since I adore this place. That isn't a press release that someone wrote on her behalf. That person is really annoyed that others are misrepresenting what she said. Term length, not money, was always the problem. And those are two whole distinct conversations. However, the locker room storylines suffered unjustified harm once social media combined them into a single narrative. I believe that a comment I made on my podcast caused Twitter to go crazy last night, but that's not at all what I meant. And I believe that if you listen to the entire clip, you would truly comprehend that all I wanted was to stay somewhere for more than a year. I'm almost 30 and I'd like a house. I would really like to establish myself in a place like Indiana. We had an amazing time. Moreover, when you come across a bunch of females that truly make you feel in love with basketball once more, you appreciate them both on and off the court, and you want to cling to that. Here's what was really going on behind the scenes. In essence, the Fever had Sophie's contract set up, but general manager Amber Cox was also examining Atlanta Smith and Azora Stevens to see whether the cap math would work for them in addition to the current core. Indiana refused to give in to Smith's and Stevens' demands for max contracts. In the end, Smith signed with Dallas. The Fever announced Sophie after Stevens left for Chicago, and both of those doors closed. The organization wasn't hesitating on her because of the delay. Before locking in the roster, the front office was doing exactly what front offices are supposed to do, which is to exhaust all options. Regardless of cap space, it would have been a poor decision to split up the Trees Leche triumvirate for a max frontcourt player who doesn't even match Indiana's style of play. As a wing group, Clark, Hull, and Cunningham are more than simply a catchphrase. It took time to develop a true on-court persona. Shooting off cuts, movement, and spacing all function because those three are aware of one another. If a player doesn't fit the Fever run's pace, you don't blow that up for them. We know exactly what you meant. The internet's doing what the internet does, and it's trying to stir things up. I believe they all said this morning, but it made me seem rude and unappreciative, and I would never desire that. I am really appreciative. I am aware that I recently had a serious knee injury. Thus, money was never a factor. I wanted to be with them, so it was all about the years. You understand what I mean when I say that a female might adore her teammates. Therefore, I believe that when everyone is in good health, we simply have something unique here. And, well, I'm just happy to be back. Additionally, Sophie wasn't kind to the accounts that created drama for her and the company. When they pointed to a locker room that she genuinely cares about, she didn't want to allow bad faith accusations to go unanswered because she knew exactly what was being said and why. When you consider what will happen in 2027, the one-year agreement also makes a lot of sense. Because Kelsey Mitchell has already signed a one-year supermax to be in the same situation as Clark and Aaliyah Boston, who are both getting close to being eligible for Epic Max. Sophie's team-friendly contract puts Indiana in a position to run the Fever back with the entire core intact when those contracts take effect. The Fever needs cap flexibility. Hey, you should talk to other teammates about, hey, us all coming back and being here and things like that, Kelsey said during our interview yesterday. Did you have similar discussions with teammates about returning as a group? 1000%. I believe that having a team like the one you had last year is very exceptional. And you see what we can do in Indiana when folks are in good health. Naturally, we are all working to maintain our core, and you are aware of how fortunate we are to have a new CBA that, enables us to earn more money and enjoy many more advantages. Therefore, Indiana loses more than simply a scorer or a rebounder if Sophie is removed off the roster. For Stephanie White's technique to work, a particular type of player is truly required. And a stat sheet makes no mention of that. White has made it clear that he wants the Fever to produce more fast break opportunities off stops and be among the top 3 defensively in 2026. Additionally, Sophie drives speed organically, guards several spots, and shoots off movement. This is serious rhetoric from the coaching staff since the 2025 Fever finished 8th defensively. They are attempting to close a significant gap. When Clark has the ball, the interaction between movement and spacing makes the Trey Letches trio effective. Everyone in her close vicinity must pose an immediate threat as soon as Clark kicks it out since she attracts so much protective attention. And Sophie taking off. That's precisely what screens and cuts produce. She will punish defenders from 3, so they can't rely on her to help control Clark's drives. Additionally, Clark will have a clean route if they remain tied to her. A defense that attempts to address both issues simultaneously has no viable solution. The return of Sophie Cunningham, one of the best shooters and quick momentum swingers in the WNBA, gives the Fever a significant boost at guard depth. Cunningham's ailments prevented her from showcasing her full potential in Indiana's first year. She was unable to get off to the start she desired due to 2 May ankle ailments. After that, she simply changed over the course of more than a month to become possibly the finest shooter in the league. However, Sophie's true value as a protector much outweighs the basketball fit. After JCS Sheldon poked Clark in the eye during a June 2025 game against the Connecticut Sun, Marina Mabrey shoved her. These were not instances of unintentional touch. They were physical provocation, and Sophie reacted right away. She didn't even flinch as she pulled Sheldon to the ground during a layup attempt, took the flagrant 2, and was booted. It was an obvious message to the rest of the league. There are repercussions for taking cheap attacks at Clark. Myisha Hines-Allen was challenged by Sophie Cunningham. She made an attempt to battle Myisha Hines-Allen. You dislike the small number of individuals. As you can see, everyone else is attempting to escape this circumstance as quickly as possible. Everyone else. She thus scores a 3. When Myisha Hines-Allen tries to move over after failing her, Sophie Cunningham grabs her leg. No one is approaching Myisha Hines-Allen, but Sophie Cunningham will initiate the altercation. The referees are attempting to break things up. None of the Mercury players will approach Myisha Hines-Allen. They're afraid. She is terrified of Jesus. One of the hardest players in this conference is Maine. Sophie Gunning is going straight after her. Sophie's physicality is controlled, which distinguishes it from simple aggression. And that returns to what most people consider to be an amusing biographical anecdote. At 6 years old, she obtained a black belt in Taekwondo, which is the result of decades of instruction in how to recognize physical conflict, react appropriately, and maintain composure while someone is attempting to control you. She maintains her composure, doesn't swing wild, and doesn't. When the Fever required her to be on the floor in the 4th quarter, she fouled out. It is truly difficult to find a player that can be both disciplined and tough while yet being a shooting threat. I believe you're bringing in a lot of good folks. Monique Billings is a complete stud. Very athletic. Maisha Hines-Allen is a monster. I'm really happy that we are now on the same team. I believe she is as well. Then there's Raven Johnson, a fantastic rookie. I've had a great time playing with her. Her chemistry and vibe that we've developed so far have been quite exceptional in a very short amount of time. I am therefore quite enthusiastic about this team and our future. She gained this reputation when playing for the Phoenix Mercury, where she frequently confronted teammates who attempted to intimidate her. This reputation accompanied her to Indiana. She is no longer working alone. Rim running and frontcourt size are added by Monique Billings and Maisha Hines-Allen. At the guard positions, Tyasha Harris and Raven Johnson apply defensive pressure. Thus, Sophie isn't overextending herself in an attempt to cover everything. Additionally, Aaliyah Boston has previously publicly addressed the Raven Johnson matter. The division of ball handling responsibilities has been properly outlined by white staff. Thus, there is no problem. Plyometrics, 3v3 pickup, and grinding through rehabilitation for 6 months. By themselves. The first thing Sophie Cunningham sees when she enters training camp is Caitlin Clark doing a shooting drill that stops the entire gym. Not give up because something went wrong? No one could believe what they were seeing, so they stopped. We are currently on day 3 and have completed the first 2 workouts. What have you observed about Katie since her return, and is there anything that stands out about her?
Yes.
I mean, hasn't she returned? For the summer, didn't she? Yes, such as the United States of America. She has been going about her business. People claim that she has returned, but it seems to me that she has already returned. However, she always makes everyone around her feel better when she's on the floor. 30 straight threes, and that's not even the most impressive aspect. The release's consistency from repetition to repetition, and the fact that Clark wasn't still while waiting for the ball between
shots.
Throughout, she is working off of movement. The ball continues to enter when you catch and shoot off screens, even while moving. You can't fake your mechanics for 30 consecutive repetitions, so that type of consistency in a drill scenario tells you something genuine about where someone's game is. Then there's the passing. The majority of players in this league have never had the same vision as Clark. However, Sophie detailed specific instances during camp when Clark makes no-look passes that cause seasoned players to panic. Clark recognizes the angle 2 seconds ahead of everyone else, not because the passes are off target. By the time the ball arrives, your mind is still catching up with what you're witnessing. Clark also has an unusual physical appearance. It's actually slimmer rather than larger, and that's a conscious decision. At this stage of the season, she told reporters, taking care of her body is perhaps the most crucial thing. Additionally, you can recognize the reasoning behind it. Players that aren't designed for a 44-game schedule are broken. Additionally, Clark dealt with injuries for a sufficient portion of 2025 to understand the consequences of improper body management. As a result, she returned faster, thinner, and more fit for a long season than a brief one. Sophie didn't reach for a thoughtful response when someone asked her directly what she thought of Clark's form. The way she stated that Clark is in MVP form made it obvious that she wasn't promoting her teammates. She was merely reporting what she observed, in the same manner that you would inform someone on the outside about the weather, employing the term special. What is unique about this set of girls?
Yes.
You have so much greatness, in my opinion. Kelsey Mitchell, Caitlin, and AB are just a few of the individuals who truly know how to let the stars shine while everyone else stays in their lane. They also know their roles and perform them exceptionally well. Coming from Sophie in particular, that comment has a lot of weight. Instead of practicing basketball, she watched it outside for 6 months, wondering what she would return to. On the first day of camp, she was given Clark, who made the gym silent with his passes and 33-pointers. Additionally, Sophie informed reporters that Clark improves everyone around her and adds enjoyment to the game. Furthermore, those aren't casual remarks made by someone attempting to make a point. That person returned after a protracted absence and noticed the difference in playing with her once more. It was also felt by the new players. Sophie quickly noticed that The Indiana Fever roster entering 2026 is different from the one that advanced to the playoffs. They are more physical, deeper, and centered around a core that has already selected one another twice, which is extremely uncommon in the WNBA, where rosters are often changing. The majority of teams never get to keep their entire group intact. This one did it once more. Teams that had previously been formed. How are we going to get all these players back under that new umbrella? It was a wonderful offseason, but I'm happy that our core is back. There were some specifics that needed to be sorted out, but in the end, we're all pretty much back, and we have new people who will assist us. In her explanation of why she stayed, Kelsey Mitchell stated it simply. She described her ties with Aaliyah Boston, Caitlin Clark, Lexi Hull, and Sophie as family vibes, and said she was unable to let them go. A player wouldn't say such about a job where she isn't sure. Even when other teams called, that person didn't want to give up on what they had discovered. The same trend may be seen in Sophie's choice. Even though there were longer offers elsewhere, she accepted a one-year team-friendly contract because Indiana felt like home, and she wasn't prepared to give up that feeling for more years somewhere else. When they are unsure about a locker room, players don't leave money on the table. Her decision thus reveals more about the interior experience of that structure than
any interview response may be.
Some teams have an incredible appearance. Some teams don't, but that's just the way things are. And, well, I'm just concentrating on this at the moment. I'm glad our group is here, and I think we'll pick up where we left off last year. Now take a look at what actually arrived at training camp. With 30 straight threes and no-look passes that left veterans reeling, Clark was in MVP form. Boston Aaliyah on a $6 for 4 years. Her pay instantly increased to $1 million for the current season after signing a $3 million extension, which at the time was the biggest contract in WNBA history. Lexi Hull is well and back with Clark and Sophie in the Trees Leche wing group. One of the league's most dangerous guards, Kelsey Mitchell, signed a new one-year contract to continue playing alongside her colleagues in 2027. Maisha Hines and Monique Billings. Allen gives the Fever a larger front court than they had previously. Tasha Harris as well as. By applying defensive pressure at the guard positions, Raven Johnson relieves Clark and Mitchell of a significant portion of their workload. That is hardly an optimistic assessment of this team's potential. When camp began, that's what came through the door. Since the Fever's front staff isn't only preparing for the season, it's also important to comprehend the 2027 cap position. Indiana needs cap space to extend both Clark and Boston, who are both max eligible in 2027, without completely dismantling the roster. Additionally, Sophie's cooperative agreement is a component of. How does that math remain feasible? Amber Cox avoided overpaying for max frontcourt players who didn't fit the scheme while maintaining the organization's core and giving it flexibility when the larger extensions came in. When it goes well, that type of front office work doesn't receive much notice. Only when it breaks down does it receive attention. And it hasn't so far. Not only that, but Kelsey is also coming in with a positive attitude. AB is arriving with a positive attitude. Lexi looks amazing. Everyone seems to be in good shape. And it's a surefire way to succeed when everyone is performing at their highest level and practice is your fiercest rival. I'm just glad to be a part of it. I'm glad to be here. I'll add that I absolutely feel like I'm almost 30. I feel a little sore. I'm getting older, I guess. 29 years old still. But no, I feel better than I've ever felt. I'm thrilled that it's here. Sophie expressed her desire to rediscover her love for basketball at the beginning of this offseason. She discovered it in Indiana after 6 months of observing it from the outside, as she has stated repeatedly. When she returned to the team on the first day of training camp, they promptly responded when she asked if they had been doing the same thing all offseason. A warm-up exercise isn't going well as Clark hits consecutive 33s on the first day of camp. It's what occurs when someone treats each off-season session as if it were important for months. Because it obviously did for Clark. The entire off-season has given the other teams in the league time to prepare. Indiana has done the same. If you're thrilled to see Sophie and Caitlin back on the court together, leave a comment for Sophie and CC. To ensure you never miss anything, like, subscribe, and enable all notifications. Click the video on the screen, and we'll see you in the next.